From Bears Last Stand to Saban's empire, we built the league, broke the mold, and rewrote the code. Crimson Tide, unstoppable, undeniable, untouchable. 7-9 champs, goal line stand. Barry Cross made Penn State fold their hand. Shirley ran, Ogilvie danced. Sugar Bowl glory, banner advance. Ray Perkins brought Bennett's wrath. 3-time All-American cleared the path. Bill Curry's crew, Siren Stacy's fire. Feet steep crown, Crimson never tired. Gene Stallings, 9-2 reign. Teague stripped Miami, left them in pain. Jay Barker Lassick, Odin Tide. Langham locked down, Thorpe took flight. We're nothing but a winner. The best to ever do it. Crimson Tide rolls deep. No one cannot do it. Built for the lights, bred for the fight. We don't chase greatness, we define it right. Saban touchdown, turn fire to flame. 6 rings later, they chant his name. And Graham ran wild, first Heisman won. 2009 Texas came undone.
Roll Tide Roll, and welcome to TightSports for a new segment. I've been kind of sneaking that out for a while. This is Across the Tundra, and what this is going to be is not necessarily something directly about the University of Alabama, but those things that are happening around sports, around college athletics that are going to impact University of Alabama, eventually. Sometimes it'll be direct, sometimes it'll be indirect, but this is a subject right now that I'm going to address that I'm going to go an inch deep and a mile wide on it because I was shocked. I don't know. I don't watch ESPN or Fox or the big boys. I know they're talking about how Sick Netty's team is set up and, the GOAT of college football, pro football getting neglected from the college, the NFL Hall of Fame. All travesties, if you ask me. I think that's kind of ridiculous because either he did something or he didn't do it. You should have got him when he did it, but since you didn't and you screwed over my Pittsburgh Steelers, hey, let it go. Now, I just agree with LT. LT said, well, if Bill Belichick don't get in on the first ballot, he said throw the whole thing in the trash. That's enough said. Now, but what I want to talk to you today is this wild, wild west of college football. Now, I know we ain't talking about necessarily players getting paid or people that don't live up to their commitment. I mean, I'm talking about the game that we love to watch, some love to play, is turning into a financial thriller that would make people on Wall Street just sweat, man. Folks, the governance in college sports is currently looking more confused than an Auburn quarterback in a 2-minute drill. Oh, shot. Anyway, officials are literally use the phrase money laundering to describe NIL collectors being used to funnel cash to players under the guise of marketing. The system is so twisted right now that people are essentially they're cleaning booster money through third parties for pay for play, which has the NCAA rule book looking like a blank coloring book. While other programs are out here playing fast and loose, and some people crying because people calling their players, even though they thought they had them signed. I guess you didn't have them signed. Maybe you should have given that boy $2 million instead of giving $1 million. I ain't gonna get into that until later. I'm just hoping that the Crimson Tide remains the gold standard of doing things by the book. That's what we do. We don't be out there trying to cut no corners. I pray. Like I say, I pray. There's a new power couple out there, Greg Sankey and Toto Petitti, was it Petitti, whatever, are moving like, a well-oiled option offense, a well-oiled option offense. They're looking to create a super governance model because the NCAA is just stuck in the mud. They're useless, they're trash, and they stuck, man. They keep getting hit upside the head with lawsuits, and they ain't got money to pay for all that. They usually just look at the courts and be like, oh, that sounds good to me. Oh, you want us to do it like that? Okay, yeah. He can have a 13th year. Fine. They want to bring NIL in-house in the Big Ten and the SEC so they can actually see where the Benjamins are flowing and keep the lawyers at bay. And not even the lawyers. You talking about FinSec, That's a financial security governance organization, FBI, the IRS. This isn't looking like a localized skirmish. This is a total reimagining of the collegiate landscape where the big dogs finally stop pretending and start operating like, the billion-dollar enterprises that they truly are. It's about control, it's about stability, and it is about making sure the big conferences and really all the conferences run the yard. But the SEC and Big Ten want to be out front, of course. Or, they just stay in the yard while everybody else is playing catch up. As you may have heard, Rutgers, they said they lost $500 million trying to do this NIL thing. But hey, we knew that was coming. Now it's up to Rutgers, alumni and family, friends, players to determine how they want to move forward. Do they want to fall out of it? Was the ACC? What are they in? The American or something? And keep trying to battle these monsters out here? Or they think they're going to still get away with playing with 17-year-olds who just really want a college education, truly want a good college education from the great Rutgers University. Now, talking about the tax man cometh. The G-men, the tax man, let me tell you, the IRS is watching these NIL collectives like a hawk on a June bug. You hear me? There's a massive concern that wealthy donors are hiding profits behind charitable NIL donations. I don't know. I'm not a tax person, but when the IRS thinks something's going on, you just got to kind of stand back and make sure you're not guilty, which is one way that, they can, so this is really creating for these guys a one-way ticket to an audit themed nightmare. They give you that letter that you want to see you between the 13th and the 16th at your convenience at one of our local offices. Yeah, they're real nice to get you in that room. If these collectives don't tighten up, that they don't tighten up their anti-money laundering vibes and financial controls, we're looking at a federal intervention that can make a targeting penalty look like a slap on the wrist. Because they ain't gonna just throw you out of the game; they're gonna throw you in jail. The House settlement is forcing $2.8 billion thus far back to the players, and the pockets of. You better believe the government won't stay slicing that championship pie. So I don't know if they're going to try to tax. The players are being taxed on their money. So it's a lot of money flying around here. I mean, you can see it from the coaches. There's crying foul. I'll say that for now. They're crying foul. I won't just say they're straight crying, but they're crying foul. Now, and be sure to hit that like button. Be sure to subscribe. Now, private equity is the new 12th man. Yeah, we're seeing private equity firms sniffing around college campuses looking for their next Heisman winner, ready to inject billions for a piece of the media rights. It's a brave new world where RI is just as important as TDs. Yeah, them people want their return on their investment. That's why you're going to start seeing, I think you're going to see coaches stick around longer because they're like the president of the company, and you can start seeing a lot of coaches disappearing. Because you can't afford to let somebody go with a $30 million parachute. Not every 3 years you can't. You know who you are. And the schools, they can't balance the books. If you can't balance the books like Rutgers, you're going to get left in the dust. It's like gets to a point where it's like, man, let's go and drop down to FCS where they keep it real. Until you figure out you got so many fans at FCS that you're going to have to get your dollars up because North Dakota State ain't playing. But if North Dakota State started getting dominated by Rutgers or UTEP, they're going to have to drop down the Division II so they can keep up with them. This shift toward private equity might help schools bridge the revenue sharing gap, but it also means that the suits are going to have more say, man. I don't know how coaches are going to deal with that. People say a lot of different reasons why some of these coaches have quit. From the Villanova coach who won 2 championships, I think it was back-to-back, Nick Saban. I get it. They control freaks. Their control made them popular. Now you want to just come in and just change the paradigm or the paradigm all in one fell swoop? No, that ain't quitting. That's just making a proper move because look at Dabo. Look at Calipari. I know the coach Jim Mora Jr., the coach at Graziani over at Pittsburgh, they got old school ways and it ain't working very well right now. Then Not only are you trying to coach up the players you can get, you got somebody over your shoulder who is not the person that hired you, who is not the person that signed off on your agreement saying, hey, I need you to get my boy in the game. Yeah. Got the tech company money. I got the oil money. I got the agriculture money. I don't know. I got the prison, money, whatever. I own prison, a chain of prisons. I put the money. I want to see my boy. That's my boy. What? You're going to start seeing a lot of coaches that have some life in them. They're going to escape to the NFL. I don't think that's for Dabo. I can't see Dabo one day just hitting the eject button and getting behind going over to outkick.com and staying over there making a couple million a year just talking that talk. But this thing right here, man, is high stakes poker, and the pot is bigger than the state of Texas. Let's look at some instances that have raised eyebrows so far. The UCLA tax fraud fiasco. Have you heard of that? I just found out about it when this was going on. The biggest bombshell dropped out west. There was a group called the FOIA, FOIA, probably acronym ball, the Mudrackers of the NIL. They accused UCLA of some serious sleight of hand. They alleged that the Bruins used a local youth charity called Shelter 37 to launder donor money into the Bruins for Life NIL Collective. Now, come on, man. Who is doing that? Why haven't we seen that perp walk? What are we dealing with these people, man? The boosters were told to send in charitable donation to a 501(c) to get a tax break with the school, then earmarking those funds to lure the superstar quarterback from Tennessee. What superstar quarterback from Tennessee? Y'all know his name. The penalty experts are calling it blatant fraud. The IRS is reported looking at whether this is a coordinated run around tax laws. UCLA said they're operating with integrity, but the paper trail is looking more tangled than a tuna net full of dolphins. I mean, it's got some mess going on. Next up, there's a notice of 20. The College Sports Commission, that commission that I think is going to get struck down by the courts because they kind of check people's pockets and we're going to make sure that this is a valid contract. You're doing a car lot deal here in Atlanta and you're getting paid $50,000. Meanwhile, in Montgomery, Alabama, these guys are making $5,000. It's the stupidest thing I've ever heard of in my life. It's the contract. The money is legit. Why do I need somebody? I bet you they are charging a process fee either to these players or these schools for reviewing these agreements, because it don't make no sense for somebody to sign a contract with a human being over the age of 18. Then you have to have somebody to make sure it's valid. The College Sports Commission don't have no police powers. If it's illegal, the IRS, FinSec, FBI, they're there to do that. Even the state tax commissioners, they do that work. Anyway, the CSC, the new watchdog that came out way after the House settlement, they sent warning shots out to 20 different schools. Here's their investigation. They're looking into whether warehousing deals are happening, where collectors are paying players massive sums of money without any actual work being done. Which is dumb because several of these coaches and players are headed to court already behind this stuff. While the specific shame list of 20 schools has not been fully leaked, the CSC has already rejected $15 million in deals that lack a valid business purpose. Who's supposed to determine if their definition of a valid business purpose makes sense? Anyway, they're looking for pay-for-play mass that's marketing. And the heat is coming for schools that thought they could hide these bags of monies in the shadows. Now, that's a top 20 I want no part of. I mean, Alabama needs to be in the top 20 all the time, recruiting. Getting closer when it comes to this transfer portal. But this one right here, I want no part of this. And I still don't like the CSC. I don't think they have the authority to call shots on people's deals. They can really go blow a chunk. Anyway, because it ain't nothing but NCAA Part 2. Which I got a video coming out, man. I'm gonna go through on about at least 20 instances where the NCAA penalized people before the NIL era, and just show you how ridiculous they've been over the years. Now the point shaving, here it is. This is one thing that happened. This one is straight out of a movie. A federal indictment was unsealed in Philadelphia a few weeks back that named a gambling ring that allegedly bribed 17 players at different schools to manipulate scores. The schools that are caught up in this mess right now are names like Tulane, University of St. Louis, DePaul, Fordham, Southern Miss. I mean, this is basketball, I think, but they were mentioned in the probe, not found guilty of anything, but just mentioned. Now we're talking about wire fraud, sports bribery, money laundering. Now the NCAA and in all these professional sports leagues, they got all this information that they're working hand in hand with these sports leagues, and we're surprised that this is happening. Prosecutors say that the ring used mules to move millions of dollars in illicit gambling winnings across state lines. It's the kind of mess that makes you pray that the Crimson Tide is not involved in it, but I actually think we had something going on with two pitchers. I don't understand what all happened, but it was something about some pitchers for the University of Alabama. How many pitches they would throw or something, I don't know. I'll get into it when I find out. And it may not have been nothing. It may have brought it up, but it may have turned out to be nothing. But the next one is the IRS collective crackdown. They've been trying to crack down on these collectives since early 2024. The tax man is the ultimate defensive coordinator. You know what I'm saying? The IRS has spent the last year stripping 501(c)(3) statuses from collectives across the map. The BPS Foundation, which handled money for multiple schools, they had to shut down its doors after the IRS ruled that their operations served the private interests over the public good, whatever that meant. I guess the 501(c)(3) you're supposed to be, looking out for the public good more than you are your private interests. Now, just a few things to keep the playing field as level as possible in this maddening for some and very thrilling for people like me NIL era adventure is that, it's still being written, man. At the moment, the Crimson Tide is looking pretty good. I hope we stay that way, looking pure as the driven snow. But, like we've always been through the inception of the NCAA, and no, my fingers, legs, toes, or eyes are not crossed. But you didn't mention anything about my ankles. So let's be crystal clear. While the rest of the country is out here breaking and bending the law, the University of Alabama is running a clean route. As far as I can see, you know what I'm saying? Our dominance is built on, on grit, coaching, and just having standards, not the shady financial gymnastics that you see happening all over places like, at the international headquarters of snitching. You know who you are, Rocky Top, with their orange covered puke stinking cells. Tennessee gonna probably be doing something pretty soon and get caught. If there's any money laundering or IRS finagling going on, you can bet your bottom dollar it's those other guys trying to find a shortcut to a trophy presentation. Alabama is simply a benchmark of excellence, showing the world how to win without needing a Swiss bank account. And that's all I got on this for now, folks. Like I said, I covered a lot of stuff real quick. I just want to throw it out there because I don't know if people are aware, because I saw this stuff popped up on my radar right before the Indiana-Miami game. And I was like, what? I got to cover this, but I didn't want to put it on Around the Herd. Like I said, across the tundra, this is where I look at instances where there are things going on that we need to be aware of as fans, because it may come back and impact the University of Alabama some type of way. But that's all I got for this video right now. Thank you for your time. Thank you for watching. And always remember, roll, tide, roll.